Yeah, Coach.
Hi, Rick.
Hey,
Nice to see you. Thank you.
trying to get in the middle of the screen here. All right, this is actually a positive one in a lot of ways. August 6, 1965, more than a century after Black Americans are granted voting rights, the Federal Voting Rights Act is enacted to actually enforce those rights. So that was a big thing enacted in 1965. And of course, since then, there's been a lot of things to suppress voting, and that's one of the big things we're talking about here in Orlando. So
Great.
go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, we'll start with Brad, who I believe is there with you.
The other day, you were talking about the closeness of the games throughout the bubble and the fact that all 22 teams have something to play for. I wonder if you think that in any regard the circumstances have helped level things out between the top and the bottom, just to the fact that everybody was off for 4 months and everybody's kind of feeling their way through right now.
Yeah, the fact that there aren't fans here either is another thing that it makes it not as big a difference if you're the road team. It helps if you're the home team. You get to see pictures of your fans and you get a little more crowd noise when you do something positive. But it's one of the really unique things about this situation, and in almost all ways, it's a very neutral situation for everyone involved. Even Orlando, who's from here, doesn't really have a home court advantage other than if they're the home team, they get their logos flashed on the digital boards, they get their fans watching and pushing buttons or whatever they're doing on the computer. So it's been unique. It's been good. It's been really good for us. I mean, we've had 3 tough games. The last one, we didn't have a good game shooting the ball at all, but we really had to stick in there defensively, and we had to get 7 straight stops just to get to overtime, and then willed it out somehow. So it's been an unusual experience, but a very positive one.
Thanks. We'll go to Mark Followell for our first Zoom question.
Hey, Rick. Good afternoon. One of the things, and it could be small sample size, but in the games down there, the fouls that are being called across the board for teams are way up, significantly up compared to where they were in the regular season. Is that a trend that you're noticing? Do you have any explanation for it? Or do you think maybe it's just kind of a coincidence?
Well, I've heard a couple of different theories about it. Heard that one could be that the players are just so excited to get back. There's a higher level of aggression defensively. And the fact that there are no partisan fans in the stands may have some influence on the number of fouls being called, but it's hard to make a strong case for that. And look, let's be honest. Offenses keep getting more and more aggressive. And so the more aggressive offenses are, the more the whistle's going to blow, particularly for defensive fouls. So I expect it to taper off, a bit. It's like for the first 3 games, it was like 13 more fouls a game or something like that. It was a really high number. But that's, a small sample size. As we're getting into this, we'll see. We'll see if it levels off. I would expect that the number of fouls called would go down some as teams adjust, losing guys to foul trouble and so on and so forth. Like, we fouled an awful lot in the first game. Second game, we did a much better job of not fouling. We just had trouble making shots. And so, it's a little bit all over the place 2 or 3 games into this thing, but it's something worth watching for sure.
Okay, next up will be Callie.
Hey, Rick. I know Jenny isn't in the bubble with you guys, but she's been involved in different parts of video and scouting and things like that. Well, what's been the value of her role even from half a country away?
Well, she's very valuable to our staff. She is the person that's responsible for coordinating all of our end of game scouting stuff on opponents. She's unable to come to Orlando because of the size of the travel party. But I told her she had to find ways. We had to find ways to utilize her knowledge of the team, her knowledge of situations, and so she's preparing video for literally every single day that we have practice and particularly games of things that she's seeing in our games, along with notes. And in today's day and age with video, she can put video on our network, and we can sync through the internet, and we can get her video files on our computers. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, it sounds like hocus pocus stuff to me, but it's been valuable information, and she's done a great job for us both years she's been here.
Great. Next up will be Tim Cato.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Tim.
When Powell was injured, you pretty quickly replaced him with Cauley Stein, two role first big men. Now you have neither. Obviously, both Maxey and KP and even some other players on the team are capable of rolling off a pick and roll. But what disadvantages are there by not having a role first big man? And what are some ways you are mitigating that, with the players you have?
Well, we're still mixing in a lot of roles, which we need to. Maxey had a really big one in the third quarter the other night. That was, we're down 6, and it was for an and 1 and got us back to 3. And that third quarter was a real test of our collective will. But that was a big play, and that was all set up by a great screening angle and a good roll to the basket. The other way you can mitigate the lack of as you call them, roll first bigs, is to do more cutting, to space out and do more driving. The rollers they apply rim pressure in a way that's different than driving the ball. If they're not guarded and they're good rollers and can finish above the rim, they're going to engage defenders, which open up other options. And so we're encouraging KP, Maxey, Boban, obviously when he plays, we want him rolling the majority of the time, because him being in the paint and around the basket is really important to us, and that's the strength of his game.
Okay, Eddie.
Rick, kind of dovetailing off of that, your depth took a hit, obviously, with Jalen and Dwight, not being there and not being able to play. How do you see the depth situation now? And are you trying to get a set rotation going in these last 5 games, or do you figure that's going to remain fluid?
Well, every team would love a set rotation. I think as time is going along here and the games are going along, we're getting closer to it. But if you recall coming into the season, at my press conference on media day, I talked very specifically about the fact that this was going to have to be a situation where fluidity was going to be a reality for us, just because changing certain things in your starting lineup can really help you on a game-to-game basis. So our guys have been really good about rolling with that. It's not super easy thing if you're a player. I mean, you want certainty, you want but the best teams in recent years have been the best teams, in part because they're liberal to adjust and have lineup fluidity. So today is a very tough matchup, when you're talking about George and Leonard and all the problems that these guys present. They're very physical, and so we're going to have to really work at play in our game, which is going to have to be a big time persistence game, and our physical guys are going to have to be physical. And in situations where we're overmatched physically, you know, our persistence and our perseverance is going to have to be a big key.
All right, we'll do one last one with Landon and then let you be on your way, Rick. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, with Luka having so much success, even dating back to his European days, how do you temper his expectation when he's compared to people like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and now Oscar Robertson, now that he has achieved his latest triple-double goal?
Well, you said his?
Yeah, his own expectations.
Yeah, look, I think Luka's number one goal is to win and to be an NBA champion. You know, he's talked time and time again about the fact that he doesn't care about stats. He really is just into winning. And so, you know, I've said for many years when it comes to players like Luka, and, you know, we got Seth Curry a few years ago, and then everybody wanted to talk about, you know, comparing him and Steph. And, you know, I don't like going there. I think Luka Doncic is really one of the unique players, really unique young players, really in the history of the game. Very much his own man, very much, you know, his own kind of style of play, and, you know, extremely unique. And, you know, that's something that should be celebrated. I don't like putting a lot of demands on young players, you know, with comparisons and then comparing stats and so on and so forth. That shouldn't be relevant. What should be relevant is, you know, the fact that he continues to work to refine his game, which he's been doing each of these 2 years. Look, I saw on one article somebody had him as most improved. You know, celebrate that. You know, and let's not make it about comparing him to, you know, to other players specifically in terms of stats and those kinds of things. I think that's just a tough thing, and I'm not a big fan of it.
Thanks, Rick. That's an interesting answer. Good luck tonight. Talk to you after the game.
Thanks, Renee.
Thanks for having us.